Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Well, we've got the information for you right here, and Dave's going to tell you about it.
Absolutely, guys. We use this awesome application called Anchor FM. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free.
And who doesn't like free?
Yeah, free's huge. That's what got us involved with it. Second of all, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. So you don't need all those fancy gadgets. You can have them if you want them, but not absolutely necessary.
Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other platforms.
Which is great. More people can hear us.
Who doesn't want more people to hear us?
I mean, I like to be heard.
I like to talk.
Another great thing is you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like 0 people could listen to you and you could still possibly make some money.
That's amazing.
How does that even happen? It's everything you need right here to make a podcast in one place.
It's a one-stop shop and it's all you need. Anchor FM.
Yeah, so you guys, if you want to start this podcast, go to anchorfm.com to get started. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Apogee Fitness Podcast, coming to you from the Apogee Therapy Center recording studio. My name is David Carter.
I'm Kevin Harrington.
Kevin, are you recovered from this past weekend
Most
crash?
definitely am.
Talk a little bit about what you did for your recovery. What did you do Monday morning?
I slept all damn day.
What time did you get out of bed?
I actually got out of like 12 o'clock.
Good for you, man. That's solid.
Well, I had to start uploading the photos and stuff. I mean, or that we would never get them done.
And tell us again, how many photos did you take, or how many, gigabytes or whatever? What was that post that you?
It was right around 9,000 photos. It's like 700 and some odd gigabytes of space on a hard drive. It's just numbers that people, they don't sometimes understand. They don't see that side of it, I guess, is what I was trying to get out.
Right. Yeah. They definitely see you hustling around, but they don't see what you're doing at home. The next week.
Yeah, that's where all that. It was 14,270 photos, 625.94 gigabytes,
wow.
12 LED lights, 9 memory cards, 5 different camera lenses, and 3 different bodies.
It was fun though, man. I was kind of your sidekick for the weekend.
You killed it, dude. I really appreciate it.
It was fun running around, setting up, tearing down, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought, and I learned a lot. I didn't know how to work duct tape nearly as well as I thought.
That duct tape was not your fault. That duct tape was horrible.
Yeah, man. All right, well, it was cool because while I was there, I've heard a lot about our guest before, but I had never actually met him in person. So last week at Crash, we saw Kevin Kessler perform with his friends on a team, and that's who we have today for our podcast. Kevin, I guess most notably, is known for qualifying for Fittest of the Upstate in 2019, 2020, and 21, and just happens to be the person who literally survived 2019. So what's up, man? Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming over.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's really a blessing and an honor to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like a lot of our podcasts, we kind of like to start with some basic background questions, just so the general audience gets to know you a little bit more. So first off, man, is this your first podcast?
It's first one, very first one.
Yep. There it is. All right, man. So tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up. Where are you from? Did you play sports growing up? Were you a nerd? What kind of family life did you have?
Yeah, probably a nerd. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I'm pretty proud of my Texas roots. Lived there till my junior year in high school, and then my folks moved to Atlanta, and I finished high school there and went to Georgia Tech for my undergrad degree, and then South Carolina for my MBA. Sports growing up, I like every little kid that's running around, started in soccer. Wasn't a big soccer guy, but played that a few years, and then really took on that.
Wait. You played soccer in Texas
first?
I
was kind of confused by that too.
Let's not brush that over, because I've watched King of the Hill many, many times, and it's like Texas football.
Well, my mom wouldn't let me play football, and I'm kind of a scrawny guy, always been, and I think I graduated from high school 120 pounds. So
get out of here! Holy cow!
Wow. There was no football in my life, but yeah, Texas is it is football. So, but I made it my way to basketball, and that's kind of where I made my name, I guess, through middle school, high school, that kind of thing. But other than that, I wasn't ever a great athlete. Just kind of a weekender. We played a lot of sandlot baseball and that kind of stuff. So. Always loved sports, just not very good at them growing up. So,
Yeah.
Cool. So what, did your dad's job bring you to Atlanta, or?
yeah, he got a new job, took a different job and moved us to Atlanta, which sucked at the time, but it ended up working out.
I was going to
high
say,
school there. And
I was about to say,
what was that transition like junior year of high school, going from Texas to Atlanta and then obviously starting a new high school?
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough time in a person's life. And so thankfully I met my wife there, so that was a good thing. Very blessed to have met her there, but it was tough. I went to a really, really big high school in Texas. We had a little over 6,000 students at the high school. So my class had 1,500. So it was really big. And then going to Atlanta, I went to a pretty big school in Atlanta, but I think our class was like 300 or 400. So it was a lot different, And so, I used to tell people in Texas, you don't know everybody at high school. I mean, it's so big. You know who they are, but you don't know everybody. So it took me a little while to kind of settle in, make new friends, be a little more outgoing, and some of that kind of stuff. But it was real welcoming, and I'm real happy that it worked out good. So
that's cool. So it sounds like you got good grades there because you went off to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest benefit. I was a B student in Texas, and when I got to Atlanta, I realized I was way ahead of everybody else, and I don't know if that's just I don't know what that says about the schools, but I was able to make A's the rest of the way out and get into squeak into Georgia Tech. I always tell people, like, there's no way I'd get in there today. And I had a really good friend we had very, very similar grades in Atlanta, and he had to go in the summer. I remember when we got our letters, and he was like, you have to go in the summer? And I was like, no, man, I'm good in the fall. And so he had to start like a week after high school. But yeah, I was blessed enough to get in and survive and get out. So
that's good, man. So sounds like you're an engineer. Is that correct?
That is correct. Industrial engineer. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's what you currently are doing as a profession?
Well, no, I'm a maintenance and engineering manager for Fuji Film now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So more maintenance than engineering, but I have 4 or 5 engineers under me, and then a whole crew probably about 20 maintenance guys and a supervisor, and a really great crew that work with me.
Do you guys? I mean, does Fuji still make film?
They do make film. I think it's all in Japan now. Mm-hmm. We don't make any in Greenwood. We do the little quick snap disposable cameras for the entire
Polaroid
world.
Stuff, yeah.
Okay. Not Polaroid, man. Come on.
Well, not Polaroid. That's another brand. Fuji, yeah, Instax or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So, and we do the disposable cameras that still have film in them.
Right.
We do those for the entire world, and then pre-sensitized plates and some other things, some papers, and
Now, do they make? I mean, obviously I do cameras, but do you guys actually make the film there, or is that shipped over from Japan? And
it's shipped from Japan. We used to make it there. We have 2 plants that have been repurposed, but that used to make 35 millimeter film. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like I still shoot 35 millimeter film.
Yeah.
You guys are talking way over my head. I don't know any of that stuff.
I don't know much about it either.
So Yellow Jackets through and through still, or?
Yeah, they're my team. I went to, like I said, I went to South Carolina for my MBA, but I don't really claim them. Nothing against it. So I enjoyed it, and it fit its purpose. But yeah, Georgia Tech's my blood bleeds gold. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man.
Did you always want to go to Georgia Tech even when you were in Texas?
No, I probably would have been at Texas A&M or somewhere like that.
Okay.
Either Texas or Texas A&M. A&M is probably more of the engineering school, so probably would have went that route. But Georgia Tech was pretty convenient right there in downtown Atlanta. And honestly, it was the only place I applied. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and thankful I got in. I don't know what I'd have done if I didn't get in. It was just kind of like, we're talking to our son Noah now. He's 17. He'll be a senior. What do you want to do after high school? He's like, I don't know. I'm a kid. You expect me to know this? And I'm kind of like, well, you're growing up. But I think back to me, man, I had no idea. And so people are like, where are you going to apply? What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, Georgia Tech, I guess. And it just kind of happened.
I was the exact same way, man. I applied to one school, and it's just because that's where my sister went. So I figured I would go there too. I had no plan. I had like very little. I mean, my parents gave me a lot of direction, but I was so immature at that point. I was just living from day to day, thinking back on it,
Yeah, I think most kids at that age are doing that. I mean, I worked. I had scooped ice cream and sold women's shoes, believe it or not. And while I was in high school, that was pretty much my whole extracurricular activities and playing basketball. So, yeah, when it came time to, like, all right, it's January of your senior year, what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know.
Nice, man. So while you were in college, was fitness really a part of your life, or did that come after college?
Yeah, not really at all. I mean, we played a lot of sports. I played a lot of sports in college, intramural sports and stuff like that. But there wasn't much fitness. It was just, I mean, other than 4-hour basketball marathons, and that kind of stuff. But I didn't lift any weights or anything like that. It came well after college.
Okay, so at what point did you find like fitness, and did fitness start with CrossFit, or were you doing stuff prior to CrossFit?
Well, fitness, loosely, I was doing stuff prior to CrossFit. When we bought our first little house, we had 3 bedrooms, and we converted one. I remember I bought it was Gold's Gym bench, and the old steel plates and stuff. And I would basically, I wouldn't call it bodybuilding, but I was just kind of doing strength stuff. I mean, I squatted and deadlifted all in that little bedroom, but I really didn't know what I was doing. It was just kind of more of like see what you can do and move some weight around and that kind of stuff. There was no cardio whatsoever. Maybe an occasional once every 2 or 3 month run or something when I thought that was a good idea. But other than that, it was just kind of some lifting and trying to figure that out before we had kids, and really just to kill time a little bit more and try. And like I said, I was really really skinny kid, and still am. Putting muscle on has always been really difficult, and gaining weight. So I just didn't want to be that skinny man, like really skinny man. So that was kind of where the motivation came from.
So where did you pick up CrossFit at?
Believe it or not, I picked it up on the internet, and those same weights moved with us to Greenwood. They've moved a couple of houses, and same weights moved with us to Greenwood down into our basement. And I just picked it up. I was trying to remember. I actually went back and looked to see if I could find the first workout I did. It was a .com workout. I'm pretty sure it was some sort of deadlifts and burpees. And we did it with steel plates, and learned to clean with a not even an Olympic bar, one of the old like real thin bars that don't spin. Talk about terrible. Learned to clean doing that. And it was really a lot of YouTube videos. And I did CrossFit in my basement for about 2.5 years.
That's so
by myself every day.
That's
at lunch.
amazing.
That's
every
interesting. So did you just come across it randomly, or did somebody introduce you to it?
No, I came across it randomly. I think it was February 1st was my very first workout. I remember that. I don't know the exact year. And I used to journal every workout I did, and I tried to find the old journal, but I couldn't put my hands on it last night. But I just found it on the internet. I think maybe I saw like a Today Show segment on it or something like that. I was like, that looks cool. It's something different. And, I'm tired of bench pressing every day or bench press one day, squat the next, that kind of thing. So, let's see what this is all about, and kind of went from there, and then slowly bought some bumper plates that were used from the games about 6 months later maybe or something like that, and then bought a Rogue kind of squat stand and pull-up bar. And originally I did our basement's unfinished, so I did pull-ups on the rafters in our basement like a Rocky style or something. I thought I was something, so now I have a really nice basement gym. I've got a GHD, I've got a bike erg, I've got a ski erg, pretty much everything you could possibly want, and sandbags and plates and everything like that.
So what was it like the first time you went to an actual CrossFit
hang
gym?
on, I'm still interested in this basement thing. So roughly what year was that, if you had to guess?
Like I think it was 8 years ago.
So if we're at a .com,
8 to 9 years ago maybe.
Okay, so it's not the original .com website. It's... Well, I guess that would be. I mean, that's 2011.
Yeah. It was 11 or 12, I think, is kind of where I assumed it was somewhere in that vicinity.
All right.
Yeah.
So there was and you said you got games used plates.
I did, yeah. And I still got them. They were like Rogue. And they're very, very I think they were like 3% off. I mean, Rogue likes their stuff, and they were like, oh, this is the game used ones. You can get them. There's no refunds, no returns. And, they were like $5 off a pound or something like that, so cool. It wasn't much discount, but it was they were cool because they were game used. They're all beat up, but they still work now. So they're the colored. I got the colored red, blue, yellow, green, and all that. So they're pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, now you can ask your question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what was it like when you went to your first gym?
So the first time I went to the gym was CrossFit 864 in Clinton, and it was to do the Open. And I did the Open the first year. In my basement with video camera in it, not really knowing what I was doing and taking videos and stuff like that. And then my wife actually encouraged me, you really should go have somebody judge you and do this right,
right.
So I did. I just called the nearest CrossFit gym at that point was CrossFit 864 in Clinton. So I got in touch with Janice Long. Janice and Jay still own CrossFit 864, and it's there. And I said, hey, I just want to come check out the Open. Check out your gym and do the Open and that kind of stuff. And she said, sure, come on, we'll be glad we'll be glad to judge you. And so that's kind of the way it happened. And I went and did, the 5 open workouts. The funny thing is, one of the workouts was the very first time that they had a rower in there in the open. And I have a rower in my basement gym, but they didn't have any rowers. And so we decided, for whatever reason, that workout, we're going to watch the announcement and we're going to do the workout. It's going to be awesome. And we watched it, and there's a rower, and we're like, oh, well.
Is that the rower, chest to bar one?
It might have been. Yeah, it was something like that.
It's like rower, chest to bar, and wall balls.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah, I think that was it. And so it ended up being like, well, I'll bring my rower tomorrow, and we can all do it one at a time. So that's what we did.
Goodness, really?
Yeah, so that's what I did. I brought my rower back to 864, and we all did it one at a time. Yeah.
So what was your first open then, do you remember? Because obviously you did it in the basement, so obviously you had all the equipment, correct?
Yeah. The first, I don't remember the year. I should know it, but the 7 minutes of burpees was my first open workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the one Scott Panchik won.
Yeah.
So what did Amy think when you're doing all this? Like before she recommended you should go to a gym, what was she thinking in her mind watching you accumulate all this equipment?
She was pretty okay with it. I think it gave me some purpose and stuff. So I think she, and she saw me muscling up a little bit. So she probably liked that, I guess. But she was okay with it. She was real supportive. I mean, she was, for a while it was our spare bedroom. So it was really an unused bedroom that was kind of like half an office. There was a desk in the corner and stuff like that. So she was okay as long as I kept it clean. And then once we moved into our house that we're in now, the basement was like kind of out of sight, out of mind. She was like, you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, she helped me lay out the floor mats and cut them and all that kind of stuff. It's fully matted all the way through it.
That's awesome.
And all that. So she was real supportive all the way through.
Did you say that you were working out at your house for 2 years before you actually went to that 864?
I think it was about a year and a half, something like that.
Okay, so you've been doing CrossFit for a year and a half, and you go to the gym for the first time. Were you nervous going over there?
I was so nervous, and I was so. I mean, I remember. I remember weird stuff, but I remember laying in the bed the night before, and her really encouraged me. I'm like, I can do it at home. I don't need. And she's like, you got to get out. You need to see some other CrossFit people. Not like you need to get out because you're like a hermit or something, but just you should do it. All this CrossFit thing's about a community. You keep talking about the community, and you're in the basement by yourself every day at lunch. And so, so she was very encouraging. But I was nervous as heck. I remember walking in and being like, what if I don't, I'm trained on YouTube. I didn't have a coach. I'm trained on YouTube. What if I'm doing something really wrong?
Right?
But Janice and Jay were very welcoming. That's where I met Justin Smith.
Yeah.
We did the open together there. He trained there, and so it ended up being great. I got to meet a few of the people, and then I would start dropping in from time to time when I had time, more than just the open, and it's nice to work out with other people.
So what was your first gym membership at? Like, your first CrossFit gym membership at?
CrossFit Greenwood.
Okay.
I heard somebody say over this past weekend that they were an emotional owner, which means they don't put any money in. I'm an emotional owner at CrossFit Greenwood. I told Justin, I said, I'm going to use that. I'm an emotional owner. So, because he called me, I actually went and got my level 1 certification while I was still working out at home. Because I'm like, I want to know more about this stuff. I mean, if I'm going to do it, I should get certified. I don't know. I don't have a coach. So that's the best I can do.
That's crazy to me because, like, your wife's saying this is all about community, and you're over here at lunch at 12 o'clock doing this. Who was I guess the people that you went to at CrossFit 864, what did they think of your form at that point? Like, did they come and say, you're amazing, or we need to tighten it up a little bit?
Yeah, it wasn't amazing. I can tell you that. I don't think they ever said amazing. But Janice, Janice is great. She's tough. They call her Gunny because she is a almost like a drill sergeant, and she's tough, and she would correct me when I needed it, and so it was great. I mean, maybe not so much in the open. You're just trying to crank through the numbers and get your score, but I needed some coaching more than YouTube. I needed somebody to watch me, and I've got a couple little mirrors up. I know that's a cardinal sin of a CrossFit gym in my basement, but it did help me, kind of, I could watch out of the corner of my eye or on my clean form and some of that kind of stuff that's a little more complex. I certainly wasn't good. I wasn't awesome. I wasn't a good athlete then. I just was trying to figure out how to do it, basically.
It's a testament to you that you stayed with it this long, because a lot of people, they'll put a weights or they'll put like their bike down there, like a treadmill. And then about 3 weeks later, it winds up collecting clothes. So, I mean, it's a real testament to you that you kept at it.
I loved it. And I look forward to that, 45 minutes at lunch. I'm I literally lived 6 miles from my door to door from my office, and I would hustle home. I would work out for 45 minutes, and I would hustle back, eating on the way back. You know what I mean? And I did it like literally every day. You know, and every day was something different. I mean, it was mostly .com stuff, but you know, I was eating it up. You know, anything I could find. You know, and find another workout. And I mean, I will say I cherry picked some. I mean, they put up there a run a 5K on CrossFit.com. Nope, not doing that. You know, like let's see what else I can find. You know, so, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's kind of my foundation of it. You know, and so
Kevin comes home back from work, and everybody's like, "Yep, Kevin's working out." How can you tell?
So
yeah, oh yeah, I did smell. I'm sure I smelled. I slap a little deodorant on and go. I mean, it was quick. You know, and
I mean, I just got done working out. I changed my shirt for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm curious. So, were there things that everybody loves their favorite movement in CrossFit, right? Or they have like their 3 things that they just love doing. I'm curious. Once you actually started going to a gym and getting some coaching, were there things that you hated doing or avoided in your basement that quickly became like a new love for you as far as movements? Or
I don't know. That's a good question. I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with deadlifts, and I know everybody loves deadlifts. Everybody loves deadlifts, but I've kind of always had a love-hate relationship with them, and I don't know if I ended up loving them. I did hate them. I don't know if I ended up loving them, but I ended up appreciating them more, and you know, kind of. I could squat all day. I mean, I really liked to squat to the point that I ended up destroying my patella tendons for a while, and because I squatted so much. But deadlifts were something I would avoid if I could, and it just took me a little while to realize the importance of it, and probably not deadlifting is the reason I tore up my knees so bad squatting, because I was so quad dominant, and it took a while for me to kind of understand these pieces work together in CrossFit, you know, and sometimes, or in anything, you know, strength wise, you know, you got to work the front and the back, and kind of, you know, that's one of those things that you need a coach for, and I didn't have one.
I literally just had that conversation with a CrossFitter in our clinic today about what you just said.
Yeah.
I think that is such valuable information that a lot of people don't understand until you put it into words and say it to them, and they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense." I don't have to repeat what you just said, but yeah. that was a great answer.
Well, thank you. That's just the truth.
Yeah, man.
It took me a little while, but yeah, and now I still don't love deadlifts, but I know their importance, and we crank them out.
All right, so we're at CrossFit. Okay, I'm confused. Are you an owner of CrossFit Greenwood?
No, that's why I said I'm an emotional owner.
owner.
I have no money in it. But,
okay.
I actually met Justin at CrossFit 864, and while CrossFit Greenwood was just a mere twinkle in his eye, he called me up. He knew I had gotten my level 1 at that point, and he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about opening a CrossFit gym in Greenwood. What do you think? Do you think it'd make it?" I said, "Whoever gets here first will make it. It'll be big." And I had actually I had a lady at church that we were in the same C group, and she ran a little really small, like fitness boutique type thing. And I said, "Let's do CrossFit. You and we can do it together." But I had a full-time job and couldn't really commit to it, and kids coming up and that kind of stuff. So, and she was like, I don't know. CrossFit, that's the thing that gets everybody hurt. I'm not sure, you know, and she kind of waffled. And so it just kind of went away. And then Justin called me, and I said, "Really, I think whoever gets here first, it's going to be big," you know. And so after about, I don't know what it was, 3 to 6 months, something like that, he's like, "Will you coach for me? If I get there, will you coach? Will you come in?" I said, "Well, I've never even had a coach, but I'll try. I'll give you whatever I got, you know." And so I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to be a coach and that kind of thing. And he was great in that I don't know if he thought I was wise or something, but he came to me on like every decision. "All right, we're going to buy this rig. What do you think? Or I'm going to put it here. I found this building. Will you come look at it with me?" All the way through the process, you know, we were finding a space, you know, the original space. So I felt a lot of ownership in it.
You have the word engineer behind your name.
Yeah. And I am a kind of project manager. You know, we built our own house and some of that kind of stuff. So what's the next step and how those things sequentially work and all that kind of stuff just comes natural. So I was able to really be in from the ground floor and work my way, you know, help Justin that way. And you know, he's one of my best friends, and I really appreciate that experience that he allowed me to be part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, what year did CrossFit Greenwood start or become?
I think this is August. I think it's either August or September will be year 7.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly.
And you guys have changed buildings at least, haven't you?
We have. We were in a really, what seemed like a big space, back, but now it looks really, really tiny. And then just like we were talking a little bit to JR at Crash, and he was saying, when I walked into this building, it was huge. I didn't think we could fill it up. We did the same thing. We moved into this, like what used to be an old moving and storage company building. So you can imagine they stored a lot of stuff. And I remember when he took me over there the first time, there was this giant, what seemed like a really big flatbed truck in the corner. And it looked like a little toy. And I was like, what are we going to do? Like use one little corner of the space? How are we going to fill this up? And it's a 6,000 square foot building, and it is filled wall to wall now. And we have classes with sometimes up to 30 people in them. And we've got a turf area on one side and 2 rigs and rig down the middle. And
it is one of the bigger gyms.
It's big.
It is big.
I haven't been there before. I need to go down there and see it.
You should come check it out. You should come to the Freedom Games.
Yeah, you should.
Check it out. It's
Are
a
you shooting
big
it?
event.
I am.
That's what I thought.
You should come check it out.
I think we have an Apogee team
You should.
doing that.
You did last year, I know, and
Yeah.
it's a great event. We honor a fallen soldier from the local area every year, a different one, and their parents come, and it's really emotional. And every year the parents come back from the previous years.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's you get choked up before we start working out.
Yeah, it is.
It's a big patriotic event, and
I always make my time to, I'm not working out, but I always make sure I go over and thank the parents as well. I take their picture with all them, and it's really emotional because the parents get up there and they tell you, this is why, and he wanted to go and do this, and but he also liked CrossFit, or he had, he would do for something, and so, it is a big honor for them, and it's an honor, but it comes at a cost, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but they do it up. They do a really good job. They honor every person that ever comes that they name. Whoever they choose is the honoree for that year. So
That's awesome. I love that.
I like being involved with it. I really do.
Yeah, I remember one of the things that really stuck with me that makes it such a great event is I remember one of the parents. I wish I remember which ones, but it might have been Kimberly Hampton's parents. But we were talking to them, and they said when they're I think it was Kimberly Hampton's parents when their daughter died, the biggest fear they had was that she would be forgotten, and how much it meant to them that after all these years, people were still having events in their name and remembering them. So it's really cool. That stuck with me. There's a lot of purpose behind it, and the event's great too. But there's a lot of purpose behind it.
It's funny. I feel like back in we'll call it back in the day when CrossFit first started out, you have these workouts that are named after fallen soldiers. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like I've seen that as much other than Murph that we do every year. You don't see CrossFit posting so many fallen soldier pictures with their memoir or whatever.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about the Freedom Games.
Yeah.
They bring them in and they tell the story and show them a little movie, and they show photos of them.
That's great.
Let the parents speak. We create a hero workout for each one of them. The first workout of the event is always a hero workout, and it's designed. It's named after whoever the soldier is that we're honoring, and so it's one that we redo.
What I've really enjoyed the time I've shot it is to watch the parents, because they've probably never seen CrossFit before, unless they do it or unless their son did it. But when they're watching and seeing all the work that the athletes are doing, they kind of get it at that point. It kind of strikes a nerve with them too. So it's a good thing to be a part of.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Let's get into Fittest of the Upstate 2019. So before we get to the actual event, when Local Comp announced that they were going to do this new event called Fittest of the Upstate, while you were doing the Open, was that something that you were thinking about? I really want to qualify for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a guy that's ever going to the games. I mean, my son always said, "Don't ever say never, son. Don't ever say never, Dad. You can do it." He thought I could make it this year. And so I appreciate that belief, but I'm probably not ever going to the games. And I can accept that. But this is something that's, you don't just pay your $200 and you're in. Mm-hmm. You've got to work for it. You've got to perform, and be a little bit better than some of the other people in the area. And the community, all the gyms coming together, and be able to watch that leaderboard and watch the Fittest Upstate leaderboard as you're doing the Open and stuff. To me, it adds a whole extra layer of the Open. We've always done the Open at CrossFit Greenwood since we've been open, and but I think Fittest Upstate coming along added a lot to it. There's a lot of people that are watching that want to make it, and I think we have 7 members of our gym that are competing this weekend at Fittest Upstate, and we've all been training for it. We've been talking about strategy. Some of the people were nervous. This is their first time, and so it's really cool. It means something. It really does. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's always kind of interesting for me when we talk about CrossFit Greenwood or just Greenwood in general, just the location of it. It's in the Upstate, but it's not there. It's not like where Greenwood, Anderson, and Spartanburg is. It's like over there.
Where Greenville, Anderson, and Spartanburg is.
Right, and it's just like, but I am so thankful that, you said it a minute ago. It's the community. You guys still feel like you're a part of that community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, it's
Greenwood always fills up all these local comps too. I always see CrossFit Greenwood
Yeah, they do.
every single one I go to.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. All right, so you get to Fittest of the Upstate 2019.
Yep.
You've been training for it. You feel prepared for it. Talk to us about your experience that year.
Yeah, so obviously it didn't go so well, but it was very exciting. And I think looking back, and as important as Fittest of the Upstate is, probably, I don't want to say it led to it, but I did have some anxiety, going in, not overwhelming, but a little more than like your normal kick around competition that you get the butterflies right before the first workout. I was nervous. I tried to make sure I ate really well the night before and some of those other things. And I was in the Masters division then, and there were some beasts. And I was an older guy in the Masters division, so it's just 3 years ago. So I'm 42. The Masters division started at 35. So there's really, really good athletes in there. And so I'm thinking, I just want to finish in the middle of the pack. If I can finish in the middle, somewhere in the middle of the pack, I'll be really proud of that. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. That morning I was really nervous. I remember we stayed in a hotel. I ate a hotel breakfast or whatever, ate some eggs, and basically stuffed them down. That kind of nerves, don't want to eat, all that. And so, but I thought I was prepared. I really did. And that first workout, it was 12 calories on the rower, 12 burpee box jump overs, 12 single arm kettlebell snatches, and then a 25-foot sandbag carry. And then every round it went up by a couple of reps, I think 2 or 3 reps maybe. And I remember my son at that time, I talked through him strategy and what do you think and how hard should I go out? And it seemed like it was like a 12-minute AMRAP or something. And I remember I went through the first round and everything seemed really hard. I was like, golly, I just started. Everything seemed really hard. And I'll never forget getting back on the rower for the second round. And I felt like a little bit of like discomfort in the middle of my back. And I remember stopping at like calorie 6. And the judge going, well, you can't stop. What are you doing? You can't stop. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? You can't stop. What are you doing? And
so it's just like an autonomic response from your body just saying you need to stop kind of thing.
Yeah. And it was just, and I just grinded through it and finished dead last. Not just dead last, but like 60 reps dead last from the next person. And I remember being like absolutely crushed. And I found out after the fact that several people said, what's wrong with Kevin? He looks really tired. He just doesn't look right, and Amy even said that. And she said, she said several times, I wish I would have stopped you. And I was like, I wouldn't have stopped. Mm-hmm. I made it to the Fittest Upstate. I'm not going to quit. I'm good. I'll be all right. And I didn't know anything was going on. So, in hindsight, obviously my body was trying to tell me something, but I just felt really bad that first workout. But then I got a little fluids in me and really recovered well. The second workout was a max clean and jerk. I PR'd my clean and jerk, hit 245 on that. At that time was the PR, and awesome. Was really proud of that. And then the next thing was I take that back. So first there was the bike and the minute on the bike and a minute handstand walk. I did really well on that. I beat some big guys on that bike, and I didn't think I could do that. And a handstand walk, 110 feet or something in a minute. So that put me in the middle of the pack, kind of. So that first workout was sort of out of sight, out of mind. Crash and burn, but I'm okay now. And then the last workout, was it was like 15. I don't remember the numbers. 12 toes to bar. I think it was 15 toes to bar, 15 deadlifts, 15 pistols, 150 double unders, and then you went back. Pistols, deadlifts, toes to bar. And I think I did it in 6 minutes, right at 6 minutes flat. I was real happy with my time. So that was the end. That was the end of the competition. It was just those 4 workouts, including the weightlifting. And so I went over. I think the cap was like 9 minutes or something. So I went over. There was a guy still going about 3 lanes over, and he was on his. I'd caught my breath, grabbed a little water, and maybe there was a minute left. I went and took a knee. He went down on one knee in front of him, kind of cheering him on. Come on, man, jump back on the bar. You got it. You got it. And I remember when that clock went off, I stood up, and the whole room spun, and I just went black, and
so that
I don't
was,
remember anything.
That was it. leading up to the event where you collapsed, you felt crappy in that first workout, and then you felt great, and then you went and cheered on, and then there was nothing really leading up to it until you stood up and the room spun.
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing. I was breathing hard. I was just done like a sprint workout. Kind of was breathing hard, but it wasn't like, oh shoot, I'm in trouble. None of that.
Do you remember walking back through the rig?
I don't.
You don't, because I remember seeing you.
Yeah.
I remember you got up and because I was on the other side of the rig. You got up, you come walking through, and your eyes really were all googly eyes.
Yeah.
And then I remember you basically doing a pirouette and landing on your back.
Yeah.
And then I was like, holy,
yeah,
let's get somebody over here. And then.
Yeah, I know several people thought I tripped over a bar.
Yeah.
Because the bars were out there, the deadlift bars were out there in the middle floor. And I think several people thought I had tripped over a bar, but then obviously didn't get up. And thankfully there was Elizabeth Wilson and Nikki Adams, who are 2 nurses that are at our gym, were there watching. And I don't remember this. It's just stories I've been told. But Nikki grabbed Elizabeth and said, "Kevin's not getting up. Kevin's down." And they went and got to me quick. Of course, Amy says she heard River scream and then stand up and ran off, like flight syndrome, I guess, ran off. So Amy came out to the floor and somebody said, lift his legs. And so she was helping hold one of my legs. And Elizabeth said, there's no pulse.
Yeah. You were great.
And Amy said, I can't be here, and took off. And
I was not there yet. I had showed up after the event. So, and there's going to be a lot of people listening to this podcast that were not at the event.
Right.
So if you could kind of explain from what people have told you what happened after that would be awesome.
Yeah, so basically I think it was chaotic. I'm sure it was chaotic. What I know was that, they immediately began CPR. I think there was a doctor and there were several EMTs there that were competing later in the afternoon in the elite division. They started giving me CPR. Somebody brought the AED over. I know there was some conversation about mouth to mouth, and I wish I could remember the lady's name. The EMT somebody said, I'm afraid he's going to throw up in my mouth. And she said, I don't care.
Right.
He's not going to die.
I just remember they had all this ice around you as well.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I've been told is somebody said, get ice. And everybody emptied coolers. It was kind of the community thing. Like, whatever you got, give him whatever ice. Well, they put ice all over me to cool me down. And then they brought the AED. And they're like, well, he's laying in a pool of water.
Exactly.
Like, we've got to move him, And so I don't know how I got moved, but they drug me out of the way, and I got shocked, and still don't remember. I guess I came back a little bit, and when I woke up, I was in the back of an ambulance.
They, I remember. Well, what I remember when I saw was when you went down, we got everybody over to you, and everybody it's like you're up naked, you want to see what's going on. And then AJ told everybody to leave the gym. Jen Green and Reagan made sure everybody left the gym. And the people that were there that knew what they were doing were with you. And then, like you said, they were giving you CPR, or they were doing, they giving you CPR. They were doing chest compressions, the whole 9 yards. And then everybody brought the ice over and everything. And then, AJ's like, do we have an AED anywhere? And I was like, I don't know. And so finally there was 2 doors down, somebody had an AED. They brought it in. And that was the whole discussion right then was he's in a puddle of ice.
Yeah.
So they picked you up, moved you over to a dry patch. And by that time, they had already called the ambulance. And I don't know if they got you back on the floor or not. I know that when the ambulance people came in and got you on the gurney, you were back.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, and you were very confused. You're like, what's going on? I mean, obviously anybody would be. But because they came back later and said, well, he's ready to come back out and keep working out because you were in the back of the thing. And you were
I ripped as soon as I came to, I ripped the oxygen out and I was like, I got to finish. I didn't realize I was done.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, I'm good. I got to finish. And they're like, you're not good. We're taking you to the hospital. And funny story is, I don't think Reagan Green would mind me telling the story, but actually CrossFit Greer had the AED, and the only reason they had it is because if you don't know, Reagan's had some heart issues himself. He's had open heart surgery, and he walked into, and I don't mind telling this story, and this is a little bit of an aside, but I think it's so powerful in the way God works things out. He walked into a regular physical. He's a fit guy and he's regular physical, and they said, "Oh, we hear something funny in your heart. Why don't you get checked out?" And I'm not going to do the story justice, and Reagan will probably correct me, but so he went and go to cardiologist, and then, hey, we need to do surgery like immediately, like now. You're in, and he, whoa. I'm like, I do CrossFit. I'm a fit guy. I don't have any problems. I don't have any symptoms. I'm not symptomatic. But they did open heart surgery on him, and he went through his recovery and all that. And he tells a story that he didn't know why. He didn't know why did I do this? Why me, God? Why am I? He felt like he had a purpose for it, but he wasn't sure what it was. And out of that came that he decided, I'll have an AED at my gym, and he couldn't afford it, or they couldn't afford it, and so he went and sought a company that would donate it if they got enough people trained to use it. And that's the only reason it was there.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
For some reason,
saved your life.
Yeah, it did. I don't know where I got the whole thing that it was from another building, but it was.
And I may have not gotten that exactly perfect, but it's pretty close. Something pretty close to that.
It's because I remember after that, I was talking to some photographers down in Florida because you got Wadapalooza and that kind of stuff down there, and he was telling me, he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "I'm getting ready to go do an AED promo video because literally almost the same thing happened at a gym down there."
Yeah.
So it's it is one of those things that it's prevalent. You need. I think as a gym owner, I would have one.
Absolutely.
I think you should, like you said, have people trained. It's not what you see on TV. Okay, stand back chalk. It's you literally have to know where you're putting the leads and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not as scary as people think. I think a lot of people think, man, I could never do that. It's not as scary. You open it up, it talks to you, it tells you where to put it, it shows you where to put the pads, and you need to be trained certainly, but it's not a scary thing. Anybody could do it, really, as long as they've got a half an hour worth of training. And we trained a bunch of people at our gym. About a year later, on National Restart a Heart Day, we did a workout with dummies, and did chest compressions as part of the workout, and talk about wearing you out. That's a good CrossFit workout, doing chest compressions, but training people to do AED with AEDs and all that kind of stuff. So it is very important. I would tell any gym owner, no matter how small, if you can make it, or there are charities out there that will get them for you. They are expensive, but there's charities out there that will get them for you and help you have one. It could save somebody's life. It certainly could. It saved mine. Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt.
So you got that all correct. I'm a member at Greer, so I've heard that story, and that sounds pretty spot on. Do you know roughly how many minutes you were out before that AED brought you back?
I don't. I will say this, and I can make light of it now because it happened to me, but I always said, CrossFitters are really efficient. CrossFitters work hard and fast. And so I don't think I was out that long. I don't know specifically. I've seen the rhythms on the AED and stuff like that, but I don't know. I always joke around and say, They brought me back too fast. I didn't have any of that cool stuff, like you get to go to the light, or you hover over yourself and you see the people working on you and all that stuff. I said, I missed out on that. I mean, if I had to go through this, I could have at least got that little glimpse of heaven or something. Jesus telling me like, hey, you're not done yet. Go back down, and back into your body. I didn't get any of that. So I don't know how long I was out, but I think it was pretty short. I don't think it was a real long time. So
okay, all right, awesome. So you get to the hospital, and what kind of questions did you? I mean, obviously you were like, "What happened to me? What happened when you got to the hospital?"
Yeah. So on the way, it felt like it was a long, long ride. On the way to the hospital, I kept asking the 2 EMTs, you know, what happened to me? Did I have a heart attack? I mean, like, what? And they're, oh, well, we don't know. We got to do some tests. And about halfway over, and they've got me hooked up to every wire you can imagine. And about halfway over, I remember one of the EMTs, I must have gone into a funky rhythm again, because about one of the EMTs straddled me and said, I'm just going to sit here for a little while. And I was like, really? I mean, like, that's where you chose to sit? But she was ready to go right back into chest compressions if I needed to. I had the worst headache I've ever felt and threw up several times in the ambulance. And then once we get there, I mean, it is like TV. You know, they open the doors and there's like 50 people, you know, like, all right, grabbing this, grab that, you know, hey, Mr. Kessler, I'm whoever, I'm gonna take care of you. If you've got any questions, there's other people. Check this, check that, unhook this, hook him up to that. And it was fast. I mean, it was, you know, I could tell the urgency of the situation. You know, I'm still kind of like, I just got a really bad headache. You know, this is terrible, but I didn't know what was going on. You know, Amy rode in the front of the ambulance, and I could hear her screaming at people to get out of the way, and the driver saying, "Man, it's not going to help." You know, so, you know, I'm getting there as fast as I can, but you sticking your head out the window to scream at people is not going to help. Yeah, but I got there. They did ran a battery of tests. Of course, it was a Saturday, and so nothing happens in the hospital on a Saturday. So, but they ran a bunch of tests, and a cardiologist came in and said, "We think you've had an electrical issue. We're going to continue to run some more tests. You don't have any blockages. It wasn't a heart attack. It was a fluky thing, you know, and you're probably going to leave with a device in your chest, a defibrillator. I have a defibrillator and a pacemaker implanted in my chest, and so I was there about 6 days total. Probably could have been out a day or two earlier, but my kidneys were not acting right, so I wasn't quite hydrated. So they made me stay and take bags and bags of fluids till those creatinine levels came down to where they wanted them, and then I went home. But
so, did they say that this was a heart abnormality that you've had forever, and this was like the straw that broke the camel's back, or was this something that was just like a freak random thing?
Maybe I've had it forever. I have a left branch chain bundle block, which means the electrical signals get a little out of whack. The best way I can explain it in layman's terms is they're very synchronized, and when one misses just a little bit, you can have like kind of it can spiral out of control. So, you know, they think my heart went from, well, in that incident, I'm guessing my heart probably went from whatever it was running at let's say 180, somewhere in there, probably into the 300 range within a couple of seconds.
Wow.
Because it gets out of whack so fast. And so they thought that might be a contributing factor, but it's not a smoking gun. You know, they saw that I have a bicuspid valve. They said that may have played a role in it. I probably have to get it fixed someday, but not something they wanted to go in and fix now. But it's one of those things. I think if they put a microscope and all these tests on everyone's heart, they could find some things, you know, and find maybe it's that, maybe it's that, maybe it's that. So even to this day, I don't have a real answer.
Yeah.
I just know I have an electrical abnormality that's could show up. It's shown up twice since then.
I was about to ask you that. Your wife says you don't like to talk about that, but
I've gotten better. So I went really, you know, might be the emotional part, but I went really into, I think I went through the stages of grief for a long time, almost mourning my life, because, and this is where it gets into this faith part, but, you know, my mom has said, and Amy agrees, and I agree now, it took me a long time to get there, you had a heart problem, not a heart problem. And I don't know if CrossFit was my idol or my God, but I spent a lot of time on it. Now, knowing I'm just a weekend kick-around athlete, but I wanted so bad I have a very obsessive, compulsive personality. I wanted so bad to get better and get better and get better and don't miss a workout and put some other things to the side to make sure that I'm continuing that purpose. And so right after this happened, I was really angry. Like, what in the world? You know, I'm fine. And I kind of would seek out information that might lead me to say, this is a one-time deal. I would find something and be like, see, this happened to this one person. They've never had any problems again. And There was even a cardiologist in the hospital. The very first one I saw said, I've seen this before. It's probably a fluky thing. You're probably just dehydrated, maybe extremely dehydrated, which kind of made sense. And because I was sweating, I wore 3 different shirts that morning because I was sweating through them so much. And I said, so I could wrap my mind around that and see it's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. And this will not define me. This will not define me. I'll make sure this doesn't define me to the point that I will almost hide it from people. And so I was angry for a while. And then it became a state of denial. It never even happened. I knew it happened, but it was I'm not going to even acknowledge it. I did the open in October. So this happened in August. I did the open full on in October to the point that Justin Smith, the owner, and I got in a screaming match at one of the events because he no-repped me on a handstand push-up that I probably deserved a no-rep on. And he came up, I remember him coming, hey, I need to talk to you. And he came over to my house and he said, hey, this doesn't make sense. I'm not going to the game. You're not going to the games. What are you doing? What are you trying to prove? And I said, I'm trying to prove to myself and to everybody else at the gym that I'm fine. When I walk in that gym, I don't want people watching me to see, is he going to make it through this workout? Mm-hmm. What does he look like? Is he all right? He stopped. Why did he stop? And it was in such a state of denial for a long time. And so it probably all the way up till March of last year when COVID started. And when COVID started, I said, well, I'm working from home now, and I found this program that was kind of an engine builder program, which has always been my weakness. It was a lot of rowing, biking, and running. I think 4 days a week, rowing, biking, and running. And I did that in addition to the CrossFit I was doing in my basement gym. And so one day, there was a Saturday, there was an hour run for max distance. And I remember probably 40 to 45 minutes in, my legs started cramping. And I would stop at a stop sign, rub it out, let's go. I'm doing this max distance. And in hindsight, so I come back all the way around to the driveway, which is at 61 minutes or something like that. And as soon as I hit the mailbox, I got hit. And it feels like, I don't know what it feels like. I explain it. It feels like a Clydesdale's inside of you and kicks you in the chest. That's the only way I know to describe it. And I immediately, it freaked me out. I immediately sit down and I'm just breathe, pray, breathe, pray, breathe, and I go back in and I tell Amy, my legs all busted up because I couldn't get down to the ground fast enough. I knew I needed to sit. And I go in and I said, I didn't know. I knew. I just got shocked. And she goes into panic mode. I said, I think I'm fine. The cool thing about this technology is there's a device that sits by my bed and it talks to it every night. I can go push the button and it'll send it all the data. Mm-hmm. And so one of our good friends from church, this is my device nurse. And so we called her, and it's a weekend, and she's got access at home. So she was able to look it up. She said, yep, you're in the same rhythm. Everything's fine now. You are absolutely in the same, it's called torsatus day points, which is French for twisting of peaks. And it's just like a nasty looking rhythm. It's just a zigzaggy pattern, basically. It doesn't look like a rhythm at all. Mm-hmm. And so I was still in denial. I'm going to fight this, mad denial at that point. But that, it was almost like God was saying, no, this is a real thing. You need to take this into account. But in my stupid human mind and selfish mind, I explained it away. I was dehydrated again. I had all those leg cramps. Mm-hmm. It was obvious. I'm so stupid. I should have stopped. Why didn't I stop? It was my fault. I can control this. I'm still in the mindset. I can control this. Mm-hmm. And so I went about. All right, I'm gonna take more magnesium. Drink more drip drop, that kind of stuff, and I'll be all right. Make sure I'm drinking my water, a little less caffeine, all that kind of stuff. And went about it, and I guess it was about 3 months later, in the dead of night, I got shocked, dead asleep. Oh. And that was the one I needed. That was the wake-up call that this is not something you can control. This is something you have to accept. And it scared me. I woke up. I know I was yelling, and Amy grabbed me, and you're all right. And I said, I think I just got shocked. I didn't know that time. I think I just got shocked. I was asleep. My arm hurt, everything. And I said, or either that or I had some really crazy, vivid dream, you know? And so, again, I think it was a Sunday or something. We sent the data over immediately and texted Ashley and said, hey, when you wake up, can you check this? And sure enough, it was that same rhythm. And there's no explanation why. It was right before the Freedom Games, and I'm the head judge of the Freedom Games. And so I was under a lot of stress getting scorecards right and judges trained and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it was some stress related, but that was the one I needed to like really come to terms with. It got me to that like acceptance point in the stage of grief where I said, you know what? I don't have to be, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I don't have even anything to prove to myself. I am mortal, and this is not something I can control. And so that was tough. I mean, I'm still working through it, but that was tough. So it's been about a year, almost a year, since that happened. I haven't been shocked again. Wow. But my training's changed a lot, and my mindset has changed a lot. And so it's been a journey.
So if you just ask, when you're shocked, and do you have to go to see the doctor the next day?
No. In fact, they say unless you get shocked a couple of times, or if you get shocked 2 or 3 times over like an hour, maybe go to the emergency room. But just once, and that was another thing that I took. I said I'm never getting shocked. I'm never gonna get shocked.
Right.
I can control this. And so coming to terms with that, being a guy that's like, why can't we fix this? Why can't we figure out what it is? So that almost to the point where I almost got angry at my cardiologist. Like, what? Why can't you help me fix this? I mean, you should be able to figure it out. I mean, you should be able to figure out what this is, and we should be able to fix it. But that was another thing I had to come to terms with. This is, I remember him telling me, we did a Zoom meeting one time, or a Zoom appointment, and I remember him saying, "Look, man, you just got a raw deal. You have a heart that has a deficiency or has something wrong with it. That's why you have the device. That's why you have it. It's doing its job. It did its job twice already. That's what we expect it to do. You'll have it forever. It probably will do its job again at some point. And you've just got to accept that."
Here's a dumb question to ask. This is not making light of anything. It has a battery in it, correct?
It does.
How long does that battery last before it has to be taken out and put back in?
It varies. It depends how much it paces me, and which it doesn't pace me hardly at all anymore. It paces me up a little bit when I sleep because my heart rate's so low. But it doesn't pace me at all anymore. So it's somewhere every time I go check it. It's really cool. It's got all kinds of technologies like Bluetooth. They hook it up to a computer and like, oh, we got you. You want us to speed your heart up, slow it down. They can do all kinds of cool stuff.
Really?
Yeah. When I go, they like, you might feel this, and they'll speed it up. Check this, check that rhythm. But it's like 8 to 9 years, something like that. I think it's like 10 years when it's brand new,
right.
And then they'll take this one out and put a new one back in. But it's pretty. I think it's outpatient, kind of easy in and out.
Right.
Unhook the wires, hook the new one in, and go.
How big of a lesion does that have to come in and out of?
It's pretty small. I mean, it's maybe 2.5 inches, something like that. And I've got a tattoo on that shoulder, and I had a
I know you do.
Really good doctor, and he cut like right through like the wing of one of the eagle that's on there, and so you can't even see the scar. He did a pretty good job.
That's amazing.
I
guess. Go ahead.
How long did it take you to get used to having a pacemaker right here?
Yeah,
as far as like,
I'm still not used to it. It still gets uncomfortable sometimes if I bench press or something like that, and they said it's because I'm so lean. And actually for like, I don't know how long it lasted, but for a long time, I had I was really red, from basically under the device to my armpit. And then we thought I was having an allergic reaction to the metal it was made of. They did all these allergy tests and everything else. It finally just went away, but it was because the skin was stretched so tight. But I almost had which would have been a really cool story, but I almost had a full 24 karat gold device implanted because they thought the titanium that was made out of was causing me, and I was having an allergic reaction to it. But it finally, thank goodness, just kind of went away. And
you would have really had a heart of gold then.
I know, that would have been cool, right? I mean, cool story, but yeah.
Hey guys, we're going to take a break to thank our sponsors for today's episode. We're going to start off with CrossFit Greer. If you're living in the Greer area and are interested in getting started in CrossFit, Go ahead and look up CrossFit Greer. Jen and Reagan Green are the owners there. If you mention the Apogee Podcast to them, they will give you 10% off your first month's membership fees.
I would also like to thank Blitz Belts and Chris Kane for their continued support of the show. So be sure to use their 15% off coupon code at checkout. That's Apogee, all caps. That gets you, the listener, 15% off at checkout at Blitz Belts on your custom order. I want to thank GoTape for being our new sponsor. GoTape has committed its brand to providing the best in athletic tape. They are the standard for CrossFit tape, scary sticky. Now they are providing the best in KT tape. So at checkout, be sure to get your 25% off your wholesale purchase. Use the coupon code Apogee at checkout.
Finally, if you guys would like to become an invested friend of the show and are interested in supporting the show directly, go to anchor.fm/Apogee Podcast and click on the support tab. We love bringing you guys awesome content each week, so be sure to subscribe to the podcast, drop a review, and let us know how we're doing. All right, so going through the past, I want to talk a little bit about more how your relationship with your family was during this time. I mean, you go through all these stages, the stages of grieving, the anger, the denial, and all that. How did that impact your family? I know you have at least one son. You have more than one child, correct?
I do have a son and a daughter. Yeah.
So
my son's 17, my daughter's 14.
How did it impact your relationship with them and their perception of you? And
well, I was really selfish at the time. I can say that. I was really selfish and I was self-absorbed. And, because I didn't want to talk about it. I knew it affected them, but they're really tough kids. And, first of all, the way they reacted at the event, my daughter screamed. I mean, my wife will tell you that's how she first realized I went down, because she was talking to somebody and my daughter screamed and ran. And then my son kept asking, Mom, what? Dad's gonna be okay, right? I mean, what happened? Dad's gonna be okay. And this just shows the community side, but two of our gym members grabbed one each. Brian Reddy grabbed Noah, and Becca Gary grabbed River and took them and kind of hugged them and just took care of them during that really trying time. And so I really appreciated that. I can't say that enough, but over time, I guess, I was really selfish for a long time, especially during that. I don't want to talk about it. I had some shortness of breath and some other things going on that I didn't want to talk about. But kids are resilient. I don't want to say they weren't affected, but I was able to talk to them a little more than even Amy, to the point that when I would struggle, I would have cardiology appointments and not tell Amy what happened, what was going on there, because I said, this is my thing. I went through it. This is my thing. And I don't want anybody to know. I didn't want anyone to know. I mean, they knew what happened, but I'm going to this is going to die. I mean, I'm going to let this die. People are going to forget that it happened. And it was so selfish, very, very selfish. Amy has been diagnosed with PTSD over the event. She's been in counseling, and it was so unfair what I did to her. All this for about a year. I would tell her things and tell her, you can't tell anybody. You can't tell your mom. You can't tell your sister. I'd have a bad test or something would not go right, or the meds they tried to put me on were just like, I couldn't live on them. And all these things that I was struggling with, when I would let her in, I would tell her, it stays here, me and you, that's it. And she would respect my wishes, but it was so unfair what I did to her. She needed an outlet, and I just didn't give her one for a long time. And she respected me. She's been great through this whole thing, but she's still struggling. I mean, she's and everybody thinks PTSD is a military thing. You coming back from war and stuff, but it's very real. She spent a lot of time in counseling, and I hate that I put her through that, but. I think she's coming out of it. She's really grown a lot. She's got a great counselor, and the kids are able to talk about it more, and we're in better shape than we were.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things where somebody has a physical injury, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, where somebody has a physical injury, but sometimes even more than the physical nature of it, the mental nature of it, and the emotional nature of it impacts the life more so than even the physical injury itself. And I think that's something big to stress to people, because I think things are changing, but I do think that when mental, I wouldn't say mental illness, but mental, maybe we'll just call it dysfunction, is still kind of like looked at in a negative connotation, where, the brain is one of the most significant. It is like that with the heart is the most significant organ that we have. Like,
Yeah.
The brain is so powerful, and we know so little about it, and it's so little researched. But I want to stress to you that, you know this now, and I think a lot of people that have gone through injuries know this, that it's okay to talk about the emotional trauma that you've had and the mental dysfunction that you do have. And I think if more people talk to therapists, the world would be such a better place,
Yeah, I agree.
I really do.
And I was so intent on bottling mine up that I suppressed hers, and it wasn't fair. And she would remind me, I went through this too, almost more than you, because you were out. You don't remember people beating on your chest. You don't remember getting shocked and seeing that. You don't remember your son's face when he came to me and said, "Is Dad gonna be all right?" She said, "You don't remember the scream that River had. You don't remember." And she had these very vivid dreams and very vivid images that would just show up at random times. And she still has trouble watching me compete, but she knows it's important to me. She came to Crash this past weekend, and that sled sandbag workout was so terrible. And we finished on the sandbag, and everybody just laid down, but I laid down too. And when I got up and got off the floor, she had tears in her eyes. And I said, "I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right." It was just hard, but I'm all right. But she's still working through those kind of things, and she can't always watch, and she has her coping mechanisms. She in her mind goes to the beach and some of those kind of things. But
she's a very strong woman.
Tough. She really is. Yeah. She's amazing.
The time that I've gotten to really know you and your family, the past year, and since all that, she's every time I'm at a competition, you're at a competition, she always comes and seeks me out and says hey to me and everything.
Yeah.
So you there's something special there.
Yeah, she's a glue of our family, no doubt. Yep.
So, talk a little bit more about your role as a dad outside of this incident. Like, what does being a dad mean to you?
It's like the greatest thing ever, man. I always tell people, we're kind of homebody people, but I wasn't ever a kid guy. We were going to have kids, and we were always going to have kids, but as they were growing up, enjoyed their sports and that kind of stuff. But now that my son is 17, my daughter's 14, they are like my best friend. They are my favorite people. I always tell those three are my wife, and those two kids are my favorite people. And that's the gosh honest truth. I would rather hang out with them on a Friday night than go out and do anything. And they're just the coolest as their personalities develop. Everybody wants to have the new baby and the little kid. No, they're cute. They're walking. They're doing this. But as they get real personalities, and they grow and they're unique, man, there's nothing better than that. They're just awesome. My son is a high school wrestler, a very good high school wrestler, and he also does CrossFit. He's finished in the top 5 in the state his first 3 years, and then we're hoping for a state championship next year. He's working really hard for it. And then my daughter's done gymnastics. She's a high-level gymnast. She's done gymnastics since she could walk, basically since she was 3. She's a level 9 gymnast, right around the corner at Acrosmith Gymnastics. Okay, yep. And I'm so proud of both of them and their accomplishments, obviously in their sports. I'm so thankful they do individual sports. I think they've both played on teams in the past, and obviously that's really important. But there's just something special about individual sports. I think when, as a wrestler, it's you and the other guy, and if you don't do, he's going to put you on your back if you don't put him on his back, or my daughter, and to get up on that 4-inch balance beam and do sequential backflips, and land, or on the bars, or let go and do 3 flips, knowing she's going to land on her feet. It's just watching them. They inspire me, and so I'm so thankful. Everybody has the best kids. Everybody thinks they have the best kids, but we really do have the best kids. And I always tell him, I don't know how we didn't screw them up. God knew what he was doing when he gave us them. They're both very strong-willed and have strong personalities. Noah wants to be a Navy SEAL. And I think he will. I don't have any doubt that he will. My daughter, she doesn't know what she wants to do yet. She's 14, but
right.
She's a very strong woman. I know she's going to grow up to be a very strong woman. She's not a woman yet. She's 14. I keep reminding her. But yeah, they're great kids. And so as a father, I mean, I'm pretty laid back. I think I've gotten more laid back over the last year. That's one of the things that's really changed me in this is the little things don't bother me as much about people, or I'm definitely more empathetic. And we have decided that we're going to, spend a lot more, seize the day a lot more and spend more time together and take the vacation and not worry about retirement. I not jokingly, she gets tired of hearing it, but I said, I might not live, I might only have 5 years left. I might not have tomorrow, and none of us are guaranteed tomorrow, but with my heart issue, it's kind of like, well, it may be sooner than that, and that's okay. I've come to terms with that, and God and I are good on that. So, I had a doctor. This is kind of anecdotal. We'll probably get into my training maybe or how it's changed. But I had a doctor in the hospital, the doctor that implanted my device, the cardiologist, and he's the guy I needed to have. He's an old guy, old school, and he said, I remember the first day he walked in, and Amy says I was the worst patient. I was so angry. I was so mad. I was bitter. I'm like, the whole time. And so nobody liked to come in my room, I don't think. And but this cardiologist that put the device in, he came, checked on me, and I said, well, when can I start training again? And he said, what do you mean training? I said, well, when am I going to start working out again? And he said, well, you'll never do CrossFit again. You won't. He said, you could power walk. I said, I'm sorry, excuse me? Power walk? What is that? Is that the thing in the Olympics where they don't move that, And he's like, no, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just like power walk around your neighborhood. You can walk fast around your neighborhood. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, but that's one of the things that kind of spurred me on. And so,
gave you the chip on the shoulder, saying,
yeah,
I'll show
a little
you.
bit,
yeah,
a little bit, but maybe not a healthy chip on the shoulder, at least at that point, And so I just got driven more and more. I'm going to prove to them. I'm going to prove to myself, and I'm going to show everybody else.
Right.
But
how has your faith played into this? You've mentioned it several times. I mean, how was it? How was your faith before, and then how has your faith changed afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up Catholic. Grew up Catholic in Houston, and I was saved when I was in middle school at a Methodist church camp. I don't remember exactly, 12 or 13 years old, something like that. And, probably like a lot of people, wasn't 100% as dedicated as I should have been. Definitely wasn't. Not probably. And then went to college and kind of really drifted. And, having children will bring you back to God. I think you see a lot of God in children and the miracle of kids. And so we went to church and we were faithful. I led a C group, community group at our church, and was very involved in little church and all that kind of stuff, like almost to the point of like a works-based Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I believed in God. I knew Jesus was the only one that could get me to heaven and relationship, but I was going to do also. And so we went through a lot of that. That was kind of my relationship. I baptized both my children. That's probably my most proud moment as a father, is being able to baptize both my children. But really not until that incident where I was shocked in the middle of the night. Like I said, it was about a year ago. My faith has changed 180 degrees. I mean, or it's ramped up, or whatever you want to call it. I read my Bible every day, I pray every day. I have a couple things I try to do every day. Read my Bible and pray are the top two on the list. And tell my wife I love her, which is pretty easy. Break a sweat every day. I was journaling for a while, but it's kind of hit or miss. So I kind of took that off the list because it was more failure than not. So, but there's those 4 or 5 things are things that like I'm going to do these every day. Mm-hmm. And so that has really grown me closer to God. I'm in a men's group at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning on Fridays. It's really helped. And I look forward to getting up in the morning to go to that or every Friday morning. And so it's just I've become a lot more like the Christian journey. I had this conversation with my wife not too long ago. The Christian journey, there's no end, to it. And it's hard as an engineer and a person that likes accomplishments and checking boxes and stuff. There's no end. It's about the journey of trying to become more like Jesus, but it's unattainable. So I've had to give myself some grace on that when I mess up, I don't hold myself I hold myself accountable, but I don't beat myself up so much. It's not like throw the whole thing out, because you can't do it anyway. So It's grown tremendously, and it continues to evolve and grow. But
it's interesting. I don't know if when you were growing up in church, when you were younger, if you ever read the book Pilgrim's Progress, which is a children's book about the Christian, basically the life of a Christian and the ups and downs, the paths you have to go through. And it's so interesting as an adult, you think back on that book and how accurate it actually is. It doesn't really settle with you until you're older and understand, the path to Christ is narrow, the path to sin is wide, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Now as you go through life, you definitely understand that.
Yeah.
And, these trials that come into your life that shape who you are, your faith can either go down or progress in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's not something you can do like as an aside. It has to encompass everything. And there's a song, a Need to Breathe song that I really like that has a line in it that says it's not enough to just feel the flame. You have to burn your old self away. And that I was the guy that felt the flame. I do church.
Mm-hmm.
I do Christ. I can feel that. I can see where my weaknesses are, my sin is, and I can identify it, and it burns. It burns a little bit, but I can feel the heat. But not till the last, really the last year or so have I realized that old self has to die. It has to be really burnt away from the inside out.
Well, that's an amazing testimony. I really appreciate you sharing that part with us.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people listening to this. All right, training. I do want to say one more thing. From an outsider looking in, it seems that you and your oldest son have this really special bond over CrossFit. Can you talk about what it's like working out with your son and kind of having this special thing that y'all do together, and then also incorporate how your training has changed with your heart? Yeah,
sure. So I love being able to work out with Noah. He was always, he'd probably get mad at me saying this, but he was always the kid that, he was a little goofy at sports early on. I remember, we put him in a soccer league when he was young, and I remember coaching his team, and some of the kids got it, and they kicked the ball. And I remember one time the ball rolled, Amy and I talk about the story, the ball rolled across his foot. And he didn't know what was going on. We're like, yes, you kicked it. Way to go, man. But he was never the super athlete. And we thought, well, he's really smart, and that's just his gift, and that's okay. And then, I don't know what clicked. But he played football when he was young, and he tried to play baseball and just never really got a fair shot. Kind of 96, we live in 96, which is a little small town. And if you're not from there, everybody grew up there, and they know all the teachers, and their kids know their kids, and that kind of, we were outsiders. So he didn't get a lot of playing time, and really a good opportunity, but never really took to baseball. And when he started wrestling, his 8th grade year, he started wrestling, and he just blossomed. I mean, it just, this athlete came out, this inner athlete that we didn't know was there, and he had done CrossFit a little bit with me before that, but then he kind of really said, and he doesn't do CrossFit. I always tell people he doesn't do CrossFit for his wrestling. He plays 2 sports. He wrestles and he CrossFits, and CrossFit is a sport that he plays, and so he likes to compete, and he does all that. I mean, he's so driven to be the best at everything. He goes to our Olympic weightlifting class that Dylan Gary teaches, which is unbelievable, and he's gotten so much better, and he's constantly, PRing and stuff. But being able to work out with him, and I've done a little side, in-house competition with him and stuff, but we're looking for one that we can, he's got a little back injury right now he's trying to get over, but as soon as he gets healed up, we're gonna find one that we can do together. And it is really special, to be able to work out alongside him. He's a gymnastics fiend. I mean, he can do toes to bar till the cows come home, and so he'll always want to let's have a toes bar contest. I'm like, let's have a back squat contest, he's always wanting to, but he's a phenomenal athlete, and it's a blessing. Anybody that has a chance to work out with their son should absolutely, in CrossFit should definitely take advantage of it, because he qualified for Fitness Upstate last 2 years too. They didn't have a teen division this year, so he was a little bummed. This is his last year in the teen group, but so I said, you kind of age up to the men next year. But yeah, it's awesome. I don't know how else to describe it, except for it's just really awesome. Every chance that we get to work out together, either in a lot of classes that I'm coaching, he's in, because he'll go to wrestling and then come to 6:30 class or something like that. But So I'm coaching him a lot, but when I get to work out alongside him or even a Saturday morning partner up with him, it's really special.
Do you think he would be the same type of wrestler he is right now without CrossFit?
I don't think he would be the same type of wrestler without CrossFit, and I don't think he'd be the same type of CrossFitter without wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He's extremely driven, and I think those things kind of like feed off each other, and the failures of losing at wrestling drive him in CrossFit and vice versa. Definitely not. I think this, I really believe any kid that's a high school type athlete or even middle school should do CrossFit. I think it leads into any sports, and we have a kids fit and we have a teen fit and that kind of thing. And I highly encourage anybody that's doing a sport, if nothing else, just for your sport in the off season. It's helped him phenomenally. I mean,
yeah, I 100% agree. I think every single person we've ever talked to said, man, I wish I had this in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I wish I had it in high school.
Yeah. And one of his teammates' dad calls him the CrossFit God. I mean, he looks like, if you haven't seen him lately, I mean, he's got a 26-inch waist, and his shoulders are broader than mine. He's got the big lats. He looks like a freak. He's got his 8-pack of abs, and I mean, I'm like, where did all that come from? I have to work so hard for the little bit of muscle I have, and that just happened.
But got it from his mama.
Does he still have the blonde mullet?
He does.
Nice.
Not for long, but it's almost past the blonde. Maybe not all, but most wrestlers bleach their hair if they make state. That's the thing. Well, he wore a mullet all year I'm gonna grow a mullet for wrestling. Like, all right, whatever. So then he gets to state. He bleaches it, and it's like, I mean, it's gotten so long now that it's like some combination of bad 80s hairband and Ric Flair. Yeah, exactly. Like, you got to at least figure out how to do the walk and the woo. You got to do. And he's like, it's not a Ric Flair. But I think he's got an appointment next week to get it cut off. So,
I was gonna say he's gonna be competing with Justin Medeiros.
Yeah, that's right. So.
That's awesome. All right, talk a little bit how your training has changed, since the heart incident.
Yeah. So really, it's trained in the last year. It's changed tremendously. I'm a lot more graceful with myself, and there are days, and I've been diagnosed with mild heart failure, which is not related to the electrical incident. So my ejection fraction, I'm not going to go into the whole way the heart works, but my ejection fraction is low, basically. So when your heart pumps blood out, it's supposed to pump out somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 to 70% of the blood in it. Mine's down in like the 45% range. So it doesn't pump quite as much out. So it causes me to be short of breath. And sometimes they're better than others. Some days are better than others. Some days I feel great. And then there's some days where I come in and I'm like, man, I just don't have it today. Now, before even after the event, but before that last shock, I would have just I'm going to fight through it. I'd be mad at myself. I just had a sucky day, I'd want to throw my rope or whatever it be, because not that it really matters. It's a day of training. But now, so that competition with myself every day is gone, and I give myself a lot more grace. There's some days where it'll just be like, you know what, I'm just going to ease through this, and I'm going to check the box, and I'm going to walk out the door, and it's training. And I probably didn't even get better today, but I broke my sweat. Check that box. I broke a sweat. And I got to see a lot of cool people. And maybe I got to coach a couple classes, and that's enough, And so I give myself some grace. And I think I've become a better athlete. I almost think that it's like I don't want to say it's forced active recovery or anything like that, but it's just taking the pressure off of me, And so
yeah, it's super interesting where recovery has come in. Like, recovery has become like the newest performance-enhancing drug, right? Like,
yeah.
People did not realize how important sleep was. People didn't realize how important it was to take rest days. I think that's why athletes keep getting bigger, better, and stronger. It just keeps progressing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sleep and recovery and eating right. I mean, they're magic pills. Everybody says, how do I need to get better at this? How do I need to get better at that? I'm like, well, if you sleep, what are you doing? How much sleep are you getting? What are you eating? When's the last time you took a day off? But I mean, it's still antsy. I'm an antsy guy. I don't sit still well. So total rest days are tough, but I mean, I make myself take them, and but I've just changed my mentality a lot. Every day you can't compete every day. You really cannot. And if you're watching the whiteboard, and I don't even put my scores on the whiteboard a lot. I'll put my weightlifting in, but I don't put my times in much because you know, it becomes competitive, and people, and it's just for me personally, you know, other people do what works for you, but it's just become not healthy, you know. And so I don't need to compete. It doesn't matter if I work out a lot with John Gary, and it doesn't matter if I beat him today or tomorrow or whatever. It's just, you know, I got a good workout and we were beside each other and we high-fived at the end of it, and I don't even know who won, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah,
you know, okay.
I think that's been a huge shift in a lot of people who've been doing CrossFit for a while. I remember when I first started CrossFit, I was like, this is the coolest thing. It's so competitive. Like, every class is a competition. And that's what I loved about it at first. And now it's like one of the things I least like about it. And I love your mentality of going in there. I broke my sweat today, or like, I'm feeling great today, I'm going to push it a little bit harder. Or like, I'm not feeling that great, I'm going to scale back a little bit. And yeah, that does make you a better athlete and well-rounded person in the long run. You know, it does.
And it allows you to try some things too. So if every day you're competing, all right, you see the workout and it's this, and all right, how am I going to strategically hit this? I'm going to, you know, it's 21, 15, 9. Or I'm going to break the 21 into 7s, and then the 15, I'm going to see if I can do 6, 5, 4. But it allows you to have some freedom to go, I'm probably going to be slower, but I'm going to see if I can hang on to that 21. It might crash and burn, you know, but let's see. You know, and you start to learn, I can do that. I accomplished that, or I didn't. And you learn kind of, you know, it helps you long term to know, you know, you kind of learn more about what your abilities are and that kind of thing. You break through some mental barriers. It allows you to just train, figure stuff out, you know what you're good at and what you're not, and where you need to work and where you have holes. And
so if you could go back to 2 times in your life before the event, and when you started CrossFit, would you give yourself the same advice, or would it be different? And what would you say?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a deep question. Yeah, I would tell myself to give myself some grace, not be so expected. In both scenarios, I'd tell myself, you know, hey, it's okay. You know, everybody's learning. You're not anything special. But keep grinding. You know, keep grinding. But be willing to accept an off day or a training day. You know, and that's okay. So when I first started, you know, it was every day, got to do something, got to get better, got to watch a YouTube video, got to learn more. And I think that was okay. I probably needed that at the beginning because I was so immersed in it. And without that, maybe I don't stick to it, you know, without that like passion of, you know, this new obsessive thing, you know. And then, but as I got better at it or further down the road, it becomes more important to kind of understand I think the intricacies of it. And, you know, I don't know if I answered your question, but
no. I mean,
for sure. All right. Can you talk a little bit about how the Upstate CrossFit community in general played a part in like your comeback story? I guess like how did they come and surround you, if at all, during this time?
Yeah, well, it's literal and figurative, right? I mean, so literally they surrounded me when I was on the floor, and without the CrossFit community, I wouldn't be here. You know, and I've been told by, I'm not trying to make this overly dramatic, but I've been told by cardiologists and EMTs and firefighters that see this, that know the rhythm I have, that've seen my rhythm, and they say people don't survive that. Nobody survives. It's scary looking. It's a scary rhythm. Nobody survives that. I honestly believe without CrossFit, I wouldn't have survived. If I wasn't in a healthy state, I wouldn't have survived the event. So that's first of all. They came without them doing CPR, without them having an AED, without people bringing ice, without that, I wouldn't have physically survived. Emotionally and whatnot after that, my recovery, the way people have reached out, you know, it's still weird walking into it. It's funny because it's still a little bit weird walking into a gym in the Upstate for a competition. Because I see a lot of people I know, and people will look at me a little bit like, is that the guy? You know, like, I mean, and I don't want to be that guy. I don't want that to be my identity, but I'm okay with it now. I'm okay with talking about it and it being the guy that that happened to.
Right.
You know, and so there's a lot of people, you know, for a while I kept really close contact with the people that had done CPR. Of course, 2 of them were at our gym, but there's a couple of others and some of the others that helped and were part of it that day. And they still reach out to me and kind of, how you doing? How's everything going? And I'll see them at events, and it means the world. You know, it really does. It means the world to be able to kind of share my story because I believe they honestly care. You know, they're not just asking like, hey, how you doing? You know, they're like, hey, how are you doing? Really, how are you doing? You know, and you know, that it's a pleasure to be able to tell them like I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing well. I'm making it. You know, I'm in good shape. So
I think it's a testament to you to want to come on and share it. You know, because knock on wood, God forbid it happens to somebody else. You know, it's kind of, for a better lack of word, you've led the way on how to kind of sort of deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate to tell you this, but you're always going to be that guy that when you walk into a gym, hey, that's that guy.
Yeah, that's right.
know?
And I'm okay with that now. I wasn't always, you know, it's not my identity. But CrossFit's not my identity either. And so, and that's okay. But I don't mind being that guy, and I don't mind talking about it anymore with people. And, you know, it's something that happened to me, and I'm okay with it. It's part of my journey. Makes me who I am.
I like your shirt. I just finally read it all the way through.
Yeah. So Ranger Up military shirt. Yeah.
All right. So a couple more questions before we get to rapid fire questions.
Sure. Yeah.
What is your greatest success in your life up to this point? It doesn't have to be CrossFit related.
You know, the easy answer, and it's true, is convincing my wife to marry me, and then the kids that we've had are unbelievable. We've had two, and then we had a miscarriage in between the two. So I always tell we have 3 kids, you know, one in heaven and the other 2, and so that's definitely my greatest accomplishment. Now, maybe more traditional is getting through Georgia Tech was really tough. I almost failed out my sophomore year. That's when Amy and I started dating. We met in high school, but we didn't date till college. And she went to Georgia. I spent a lot of time in Athens. There was a lot of miles on the old Explorer, back and forth to Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
So, you know, I barely made it, barely hung in there and getting out. Georgia Tech's a really tough school. It's not so tough to get into if you're from Georgia. It's tough, but it's not MIT. It's not, you know, some at Duke or any of those. They're tougher to get in, but those schools keep people in. Georgia Tech, you know, they do the whole look right, look left, but they mean it. You know, only one of you is getting out, you know, and that's what they call it. They don't call it graduating, they call it getting out. And they have weed out classes, and your sophomore year is hell. And they you know it's going to be that way. And I didn't get out with a really sparkling GPA, but I got out, you know, and so that's a big accomplishment.
That's great.
One of the reasons that's so important to me is, you know, it's one of the few times I remember I love my dad. He's probably gonna listen to this, and he's a great man. He worked really hard. You know, as we were growing up, he wasn't around a lot, and he would tell you that. But that's the first real memory I have of him saying he was proud of me when I graduated from Georgia Tech. And he was talking on the phone to one of his buddies and said, "Guess where I am? I'm at Georgia Tech graduation," and that still sticks with me, and that's a proud moment.
I love that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right.
Ready for the rapid fires, or do you want to add something else?
So, it sounds like almost the chip on your shoulder is what kept you motivated after the event, and it sounds like the thing that continues to motivate you is you don't want the event to define you. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. You know, I still want to be. I'm not an elite level athlete, but I want to be the best athlete I can be. I'm 45 years old. I've got a heart condition, and I'm going to be the best 45-year-old athlete with a heart condition I can be. And that motivates me. It motivates me to think that somebody might be looking at me and be like, you know what? I've got, I don't know what, some kind of autoimmune disease, or they've got something that's holding them back. But they may look at me, and I'm not, you know, I don't want to sound arrogant. But if somehow my story of like he's still doing it and look what happened to him could help somebody else and they can get over their whatever their barrier may be or their obstacle, you know, we have a over 60 CrossFit group. We call them the WOD Squad at CrossFit Greenwood, and there's nobody more inspiring than those guys. I mean, you watch, you know, there's some in their 70s pushing the sled, you know, or doing, you know, ring rows or whatever or doing, you know, cleans with a barbell, you know, and those kind of things. That's inspiring. And they've got, you know, they're older, and they're just trying to stay, you know, fit and healthy. And so somebody can look at me and say, well, he's got these barriers and he's got these obstacles to overcome, and I haven't overcome them. It's not like they're behind me, but I can keep going, and hopefully somebody else can take a little bit out of that, maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's an arrogant thing at all. I think it's a gift that really was given to you.
Yeah.
And the way you've handled it, like you said, people come in and look at you, and so this is something I've been trying to get out of you from the time when we did the photos and everything, is for you to be able to come on and tell your story.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring to me. It's inspiring to, I know, a lot of people. Being saw it firsthand. I mean, I'm not family, and I know you through that, but after seeing it, it literally, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing, because you and I have talked privately, and I said, look, dude, I said, what I love about you most is you could have just quit and said, not doing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I had talked to you. You said you were shocked like the week before. The second shock, the one at night, was before the last Freedom Games, you said.
Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, your wife had told me, but I didn't know that you were, like, we were talking on the floor and everything, but I didn't know that was going on, dealing with that still.
Yeah. So it is going to be forever, but it's therapeutic to come on here and talk and tell the story, or talk to someone individually. It's therapeutic to tell it when they want to know. And, I try not to put it in people's face, but it is part of me, so.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%. I couldn't agree more.
I look at Dave's knee and I look at you, and then I think about me, and it's just like, at the end of the day, we're all mortal.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody's going to get out of this alive.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned it several times, you got to give yourself grace. And it's just, I think a lot of people, with COVID, a lot of people are taking more grace. At least I hope they are. But it's life. You don't win until they put you on the ground.
Yeah.
It's not over till then.
Yeah, that's a good point. COVID really came at the right time for me. That's, and it's one of those things that kind of, you couldn't leave, and we got closer as a family, but that's where my spiritual growth is. I mean, I feel like I didn't just become a Christian, a year ago, but I've probably grown as much in that year as I did since from 12 to 44, whatever I was, and so it's just that exponential growth, and being at home, being with family, having a little more time, everything is forced to slow down, because I'm one of those guys. My wife's always like, here, practice. No. Say practice. No. Like, you say yes to everything, and so it forced me to do that, and I needed it. I needed that, slow yourself down.
I think if anything comes of COVID, I kind of hope that we can have like a national holiday of week where everybody just kind of, you don't do anything, you stay at home, and that's your staycation. Everybody gets that.
Yeah. And
because I think in a lot of ways, what I'm hearing from you is it slowed you down to make you appreciate the things that you do have, and who you are as a father and as an athlete now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that idea. Let's pitch it.
Let's do it.
I'm on board.
All right, let's do these rapid fire questions. You're up first. Go.
All right. So, David gives you a black card. You guys can go anywhere in the world. Expenses paid. Your bags are packed. Where are you going?
I don't know. I heard you ask those questions to people before. I don't know. Probably somewhere beachy. I don't know how you say it. Maldives.
Yeah, Maldives.
It looks really cool. I mean, I've seen some pictures. I don't know where it is. Somewhere in the world, I guess. And it looks really fancy. One of those huts out in the middle. Yeah, where you come out of bed and you dive in the ocean. That looks really cool.
Perfect.
I think I could do that.
That's what I want to do too. All right. Which workout are you looking forward to the most at Fittest of the Upstate 2021?
I would say the finals workout. But that's presumptuous. So I don't want to be
that's
presumptuous.
Right, you got to earn that one.
You got to earn that
Yep.
one. I'm not presuming I'm going to make it. But I think the one on Sunday with the bike, rope climbs, lunge. I like the lunge, and for whatever reason, I've been able to lunge. I've always found myself a little bit better at lunging than other people. And the double kettlebells, I've got decent mobility in my shoulders. So the bike's going to be a little slow, but I can get up and down the rope in a few seconds. And so I like that one. I think that one I might hold up all right on that one.
Sweet.
So the Kessler family's going to dinner. What is the one place that you guys can all agree on?
That's tough. Mellow Mushroom, maybe.
Hey,
yeah,
solid.
We're all pizza people, so yeah, that's probably would be pretty easy.
All right, cool. If you were to pick up a new skill in 2022 and you had the year to really work on this skill, what's something that you're interested in learning?
Maybe shooting a gun. We've never owned a gun before. We got a little 9mm for Christmas, and we're going to take a concealed weapon permit class in a couple of weeks. But I'd like to be able to, kind of be a marksman. That would be cool.
That is shocking. I would have not thought that.
Yeah. So,
being from Texas and everything.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's really sad. I probably shouldn't admit it, I'd like to, get a long gun and, kind of, I don't know, some sniper fantasies or something, maybe.
No,
get good, become a good marksman. That'd be cool.
Very cool.
So what is the one thing you like to do outside of CrossFit?
I kind of mentioned earlier, we're homebodies. I really like movies. Unfortunately, this is one of the big negatives of COVID is there's been like no movies. Noah teases me on it to no end because I'm looking forward to the Black Widow movie, and he's like, "It's not even a real superhero. She's not even a superhero. Why are they giving her an origin story after she's already dead?" And so all this stuff. So I'm looking forward to that one. But I'm a movie guy. But we hang out a lot at home when we're free time. We watch. Guilty pleasure watching Dateline and just hanging out and doing stupid stuff like that.
That's awesome.
That's probably it. That's kind of what I do in my free time. And go piddle around in the gym. Sometimes I'll go down there on Sunday and in my basement gym, and I'll be down there 2 or 3 hours, and I'll come up, and Amy's like, "How's your workout?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I had the TV on, I watched the NASCAR race a little bit, or football, or whatever, and I lifted a few times, but other than that, it's just kind of piddling around, being down there." So that's it. Yeah, pretty easy.
All right, cool. If you had to choose a games athlete to come to CrossFit Greenwood and work out with you, and then you went and got dinner with them afterwards, who would that person be?
Probably, this is my canned answer, but probably Chris Spieler. I've always admired him because he's a smaller guy. I'm a scrawny athlete. I always tell people I'm a scrawny athlete. I'm about 165 pounds soaking wet. So, but the way he can move weight, and he uses his size to his advantage, just his mindset. I think I would really I know he's kind of an OG older school guy, but I like to talk to him. He's a master's athlete now too, so be good to pick his brain and see how he's aged and those kind of things.
I'm a huge Chris Spieler fan. Love him.
Yeah.
Favorite color?
That's a good question. Gray is my favorite color, and Amy said that's not a color. You got to pick a color, but that's really my favorite color, gray. So
interesting.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that before.
It's not a color, I guess. Or maybe it's all the colors a little bit. I don't know, but it's that I'm a gray guy, and I'm usually black and white black and gray head to toe usually. I have a shoe fetish, CrossFit shoe fetish, and like 90% of them are black or gray. Amy's like, every one of them looks the same. I'm like, no, they don't. They're all totally different.
All right. Well, what's your favorite brand right now?
I guess I'm kind of a Noble guy. I really like. I wear all three. I wear Nike, Noble, and Reebok shoes. I really do. I like all three. But all the shorts I've got are Noble now, and I like their stuff. It fits good, and it's pretty cool. So
awesome.
So if people wanted to find you on the social medias, what are the kids calling it now?
Kids are calling it the SoCal Meds.
Okay. So if people want to find you on the SoCal Meds, where can they find you?
My kids will think that's cool. Kevin Kessler 75 on Instagram. I'm not real active, but I actually got off social media. Didn't cancel my accounts, but I got off of it kind of when all the politics stuff happened for a sanity's sake. So I haven't really got back on, but Instagram every once in a while. That's kind of where I peruse. Kevin Kessler 75. So,
cool.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
Well, is there anything else you want to tie this up with a bow?
I'm just going to tie it up by saying thank you again for taking your time out of a weeknight to come over here all the way to Greenville. And thank you for spending time and really opening up. I really do think the listenership or the people listening to this are really going to gravitate towards this story because it's different than anything we've had so far, and it's very inspirational. And your testimony is incredible. So I just want to say that it was a pleasure having you on here.
Yeah, it was an honor. It was all mine. It was really a privilege, and it's therapeutic for me to tell the story, and maybe a few people will hear it. And I know you have a lot of listeners, so they'll hear it, but maybe a few people will hear it, and it'll really resonate. And maybe, anybody that wants to reach out, I'd love to talk to people. Whatever, grab me at Fitness this weekend or whatever. I'd love to talk to people.
Perfect. Sounds great, man. Yeah. Well, y'all heard it here.
Apogee Fitness Podcast.